Hi, Jonathan. I was just looking at the color comp that you submitted for your final design, and good job. My first impression was like, okay, this is going to be a really nice design. I really like how you design the mountains and give it that layering effect and how it's a nighttime silhouette. And I looked at all of your digital images that you sent, and I was trying to figure out when I first opened them, I'm like, there's something about this design that I'm liking that could be applied to this one. And I wanted to figure out exactly what that is. I honestly have not studied, night scenes, moonlit night scenes. And this is something that I encourage you to do if you are designing, to do a little bit of research and to find out, what does light do and what do the colors do, and how can I use that information to better my designs. And so I went ahead and I did that. And I think there was something about, the values in this. I didn't know if I liked the dark sky with the dark foreground. And honestly, I think you need to have some contrast. You want to draw the viewer's attention to your focal point here. And so I really like how the wolf is looking up in this one. I think this is a better wolf design in general, but I like the value shift on this one. And so I think if you can combine that where you have the contrast of your focal point, the value contrast of your focal point, and keep that, I would recommend lightening some of these values, kind of like you did here, or perhaps lightening some of these values, and even lightening the sky. And so in my research, I found that the moon, okay, so because I was trying to think atmospheric perspective, typically things get lighter in value as they go back into space. But it's different at nighttime because the moon is shining and it's shining behind the objects. And so it's you're seeing the shadow side on the objects close to you. That's why you get the silhouette. And so, but the areas, there are still areas where the light from the moon is going to shine on the mountains. And so I just did a bunch of research trying to figure out how other designers have handled night scenes. So if you'll notice in this design, the night sky is not black. I mean, it's a lighter value. But you see how the trees, the ones that are closest to you, how the artist made the trees appear closest to you is by giving them a darker value. And then they get lighter in value as they go back toward the moon shape. Okay. I opened up this one because I liked the dimensionality that they have in the rock shape. I thought that was an interesting thing that maybe you can bring into your design to make that a little interesting. I'm just showing you all of these. I didn't plan this before I started what I was going to say. But this is the same kind of thing. You've got your objects that are closest to the viewer are dark silhouetted. And then it gets lighter as it goes back, and then where the moon shines and hits the mountains, those are the lightest areas of the mountain. I just thought this was interesting because they kept the flat silhouette, but they added some detail work to the background, and actually the background steals the show in this design. I just thought that was interesting. I don't know if I'd recommend that for you. Same kind of thing, the atmosphere in this, you've got the silhouette of the wolves, and the atmosphere, as it goes back, it goes to match this night sky. It gets darker and then it gradually gets lighter. You can even see these faint mountains in the distance. And they made them appear that way because their value is matching the atmosphere. This would have been more believable if even this wolf shape had been a little bit more green and a lighter value. I think that would have made this even more believable. This one I just thought it was interesting, the light shine on the back of the mountains. Kind of the same effect. And the moon is going to light up the sky around it. And then this is obviously the light reflecting off the water. But just kind of study these and how they use value. And I pulled this one up because it was different, because you've got the dark night sky and then you have the moon illuminating the whole scene. I thought that was interesting as well. This was a photograph that I found. It looks like maybe it's dusk time. But just look at the values and how they did that. And then one other thing I want to suggest to you, and I was just trying to find an image to give an example, but let's go back and look at yours. I think it would be really interesting as well. I mean, to add some kind of dimensionality, like it showed the rock, you know, the wolf on the rock back here somewhere. Where was that? Right here. And I just thought that brought some good attention. You want to have some detail work at your focal point. So like in that one example where they added the detail to the background kind of stole the show and became the focal point. I wondered if there was a way that you could lighten up this night sky, and then your colors will get, you know, gradually darker as they come to the foreground. And then add some detail work to the wolf and maybe the rock. Now I understand it's a silhouette, but I thought, you know, how interesting it would be to add some shapes on top of the wolf. And you can go and study that. Maybe you can go and pause this video or find it. I don't even know how I found this wolf design. But I think I clicked through a few like view similar images. And so, but that's just something that's, your design is very good. You have a lot of good things going on. I like, you know, like I said, I like how you design the shapes. You've got some nice variety in the sizes of the shapes. And, you know, as it sits right now, like this is kind of a big mass of purple. You know, perhaps you could take even some of the how we learned from those other mountain shapes, how the light, where the light hits, you could put a, you know, area of light, a lighter value on that area. I wouldn't go as bright as the moon. You know, think about, you know, just going one step, one value step lighter. You know, you wouldn't want to go clear to yellow on something like this, but you might want to go maybe this value on top of here where it hits. And then you'll be repeating those values and those colors in different areas of the design. Your eye will kind of bounce around a little bit more. So that's a lot of information. You've been one of my students this semester that I can tell has really worked hard and really tried to understand the concepts. And so I wanted to help you with that. And what I would do if I were approaching a design that I was unfamiliar with, and then applying some of the concepts that we've learned this semester without going overboard. So it's kind of a fine balance in an intro level class. But those are some suggestions that I have for you to study to see how you can make this design better. You know, right now you've got this yellow shape that kind of steals the show. It's the only warm color in the, you know, and I like how your mountains are warm and then they get progressively cooler. I thought that was a nice effect. But perhaps we need to warm up this night sky, make it a lighter value. I think that would, and then if you squint down, you'll notice that these values, the value of the sky and these two mountains and then the wolf shape are all very close. I mean, granted, this is a black, like a 1, but this is probably like a value 2 and a value 3. And so, but if you squint down, it all kind of becomes one large black shape. And then you've got this lighter mid-value shape, and then you've got the really white or bright sun, or moon, sorry. And so you might want to differentiate. You might want to put an additional step in value. And that will make your focal point even stand out and pop a little bit more. So those are my suggestions for improvement on this design. Honestly, I anticipate that you're going to do well on this final. And I thought about one more thing that I didn't mention. You're going to you need to limit your use of black on your design. It's on the rubric to not use black, white, gray, or muddy colors in your design. I'm not talking about desaturated. I'm talking about like, ugly browns or, that don't work with your design, that are a reflection of your inability to mix paint, not yours, but other students. And so, sorry, that may not come out quite how I anticipated it to. But so you're going to want to limit your use of black in the design, and so on these major elements. And so, these colors are all very saturated. You don't want to go, you don't want to do that per se. But I do like how you did not use black in the design. And so, I think in this design, if you had gone more of this cool bluish purple on this foreground shape, and then just experiment, do I want to go with a cool sky background, or do I want to make it warmer? And just experiment with how that feels when you create the design. But so Jonathan, good luck. I also just wanted to mention, I really appreciate your comments here. It just shows your dedication, to the Lord and to taking your education seriously. And if you're going to go into the arts, that's really what it takes. Is it takes that dedication and that commitment. You have to be serious to be successful. So, but I just want to let you know that I appreciate your comments here. It kind of struck home for me. It struck a chord for me because I felt that way at times in my life at different times. And so I encourage you to keep listening to those feelings that you have and trust God, and He will lead you on the path that you are meant to be on. And anyways, besides that, I wish you the best, and maybe I will see you sometime. I'm up on campus occasionally, so if you see me, tap me on my shoulder and introduce yourself. Okay, all right, bye, Jonathan.